It's Jeff here. I'm sitting down at McDonald's right here. Come back from home, drop my son off somewhere, and decided to answer a LinkedIn post with a burning topic. And it's one I've been wanting to touch on for a while. So I just want to do it here. Got some decent lighting, got a cup of coffee, to do it, and just right time. So, what, what? How do we do a pitch of an idea, your project, your product, your need? And it's also a way to start a lot of your presentations when you're trying to talk about something. You set the context of kind of how to do that. Now, what about the why on the napkin? Can you see the why on the napkin? There it is. Um, who of you struggles with creating effective communication, in pitches, to just get some traction, to get some buy-in from some stakeholders or whatever, and sell your idea or your project, your product, like I said, or your need for some of these resources. It could be people, time, funding, assets, whatever, anything. Or who of you don't need any help doing that, because you never have this problem. Okay, no show of hands. I don't see any hands there. Okay, so I know this is a problem for all of you. I'm kind of joking, but that's how it is. So now we got the who here. I don't know if you can see very well, but here it is, the who. So um, so I'm Jeff, and I struggled for a number of years to explain to my family and my friends and to others, like the parents of my kids, my kids' friends, and all that. What I do in my job, and I struggled with that for years. And it made me think about back when I was 14 years old. I was doing some telemarketing sales of selling Christmas event tickets, and I didn't do very well. I only lasted like 2 weeks at it. And it wasn't a very great experience. But then, a number, you know, 20 years later, I found myself doing a job in sales and translation solutions and services, and that really helped to work on the pitches. And because I did 20 cold calls a day for 20 months, that means 8,000 cold calls that you have to do in 30 to 60 seconds each. And that's a lot of practice. Then I joined a big company, a bigger company, SAP, and I was changing teams like every 1 to 2 years for reorgs or whatever, or opportunities. And I always need to, when I got to a new team, our teams are having to explain to other teams, what we do, what's our mission in the company. And so each time I joined a new team, the first thing that we'd work on, team may have been around for a while, but just the first thing to kind of help them when I was working on a team pitch video, just how to pitch the team. And we'd practice. I'd tell them practice in the elevators, in the lunch line, just wherever you're at. Just pitch yourself. Try to pitch yourself. And that was kind of got a lot of practice doing that. And then I did a 1 year volunteer project in language technologies in disaster response and for Haiti and Haitian Creole. And I was constantly having to explain the project and get some volunteers and get people to want to join the thing, and just servers and donations. And now I work with a lot of R&D colleagues, just kind of volunteer. I mean, it's not my role. It's just what I do to help people. While I've got my regular job I'm doing, but working with R&D colleagues to help to pitch their ideas, their projects to get funding for some new project or something from management, and also helping other colleagues to help them pitch their corporate social responsibility and social impact kind of projects like food waste recycling and all that kind of stuff, and to get funding for some more. And that's kind of the who I'm in and why I'm doing this thing, because it's that. So now the whole now is how. I can't see if you hear. It's not very dark, but so how do you do this? Well, I'm actually using the method and explaining what I'm doing. So if you've noticed, I've been using, you know, the 5 W's. So who, what, when, where, why. Now, how do you say that in your mother tongue? I mean, there are different languages, and I'm sure that you know how to say that in your mother tongue. I mean, in French, it's quoi, qui, où, quand, comment, combien, pourquoi. Okay, and I'm sure that if you're German or you're Portuguese or you're from Botswana, you've got some way how to say this kind of concept. So you know what it is. You don't have to teach you what it is. You know what there are. However, I want you to put them in a very specific order. because the order that you learned them in was in some kind of memorizing technique kind of way to do it. And it's not really the order to do a pitch. So the first things you want to do is you want to have the what at the beginning, because I did the what at the beginning, right? Then you want to have the why. That's got to be the second. Those are two non-negotiables. Every time you got to have the what and why to start whatever your presentation or pitch is. Then afterwards, they can kind of get mixed up. You kind of play with them. So in this one, I did who, but it first then it can be how. How goes with the why. So it kind of just depends. So how and who are kind of interchangeable pretty easily. And you're going to finish up with when and where. And those are kind of the order. You just choose how you want to do it. So it doesn't really matter. So where are we at? We're here on YouTube, and we're posting on LinkedIn to answer a question, and it's the 5th of December 2021, and so you can do that. So what are the takeaways of this? I mean, I've been done 7 minutes of this to kind of just training how to do this. So the first thing you want to do is start with a hook to hook your audience. I asked you all a question. Well, I actually introduce them, here with the coffee and kind of getting the thing and then ask you a question, bam, that. And then tell a story. I told a story about who I am. You got to tell a story to get people kind of hooked into storytelling is an important thing when you're selling and trying to get things, because it gets engagement with your audience. And keep your audience engaged by asking them questions and trying to get their feedback. So all this time, I've been asking you questions along the way, trying to get your feedback. You're all watching. I can't see what you're saying, but that's how you're going to do it. And another takeaway is you don't need a 4-hour e-learning course on how to start pitching your ideas and projects. It's just not. You don't need that 4-hour course. It's an 8-minute video, that kind of thing. But you need to practice. You need to practice. You need to practice your pitch, and who you are and what your need is, so you can do it in like 30 to 60 seconds. And the last point is use physical objects to show what you're doing. Hey, I'm giving a pitch on a napkin. Hey, don't we always say that salespeople can do their pitch on a napkin? Well, I'm using a napkin. So use objects when you can, physical objects to explain it. The physical object thing is just not always a necessary thing to have, but it does help just to make things tangible, concrete for people. I tend to use about watches. I use all kinds of things to make analogies. It just makes it easier for people to identify with. That's all. But you can do it with just your gestures and all that. Another trick about doing a pitch is to keep all these give it concise, short little bits of information about the what, the why, the who, how, and everything up front. Don't you just have one-liners. What I do is I just put each word and I have a one-liner, and then I talk around that. I need to talk naturally. I don't write a script. I just want to talk naturally, but keep it concise so that when you do that, you're able to don't try to get into too much details. If you get into too much details, and I did that actually with the who I am, but I had to do that at that point in time because it was important here. But usually try to give as much minimal information as you can, and then push all the details to the questions that the people will ask you, and then you'll answer the questions with the details. Okay, so try to keep that. Don't try to give it up front. Okay, try to push it down. But since I don't have the questions here, I can't do it with you. Okay, but if I was in an audience, I would be doing this interactively, and I'd be waiting to give the details later on when they're asking me questions, and I'd give it back. Okay, that's how I do it. So that's a kind of important thing to do. Salespeople are kind of used to doing this, but those of you that aren't in sales, you're not used to do it. So and you tend to want to give the details up front to kind of give the background. Don't do it. But I had to do it in this video. I had to give the background just because I'm not interacting with you. I mean, where it's all kind of a one-way discussion, but I'm trying to make it not one way as much as possible. And then now I'm going to show you the pitch. Okay, so I'll try to do it in one thing. So what's it about? Disaster relief. We've just had an earthquake in Haiti. We need to go disaster response. People are dying, and we need you to help on language technologies. Why? Because doctors are there. There's no way to communicate with the people, and we need to have these language technologies to be able to save lives. We need you. How we're going to do it? Well, we're going to do it with automatic translation and speech technologies. So I need to bring together a crowd of people, the experts, to be able to do this. And then who I am. Well, I'm an expert in Creole languages, and also I work on computer-generated translation and computer-generated authoring and then computer-assisted authoring and generation and speech technologies. So that's who I am, and I know you that have the kind of the similar expertise to help me. When we're doing it right now, because it's the disaster happened and we need to be able to help in the recovery stage, well, actually right in the response stage, and then we'll have the recovery afterwards. And where are we going to be doing it? Well, anywhere you're at. You don't have to be in Haiti to be able to do it. We can do it from home with just a collaborative effort. That's my pitch. Hope that helps, and let me know.